What is going on, Colts fans? My name is Mike Conley. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Conley on the Colts podcast. Well, week 6 is right around the corner for the Colts. On Sunday, they will be facing the Jacksonville Jaguars yet again this year. And winner of this game, we will be taking first place in the AFC South so far this year. Kind of crazy Colts schedule so far this year. Have all these AFC South opponents early on in the year, but hey, that's the way it worked out this year. And this game, week 6, it seems to have some headlines circled around it. So let's get into some of these. Wanted to bring them up. Obviously, the first one I'm going to get into, the Colts have not won in Jacksonville for quite a while. They are on an 8-game losing streak in Jacksonville. But to that point, so far this year, Jacksonville is 0-2 at home. So really hoping that the Colts can continue this trend of breaking these unlucky streaks they've had with some of these opponents, like they did last week against Tennessee, and snapping those streaks as well. And I'll get into that a little bit more later as far as that goes. But another headline surrounding this: Minshew Mania, the Minshew revenge game, if you will. I've seen that all over social media lately. I'm gonna roll with that myself too. If you didn't know, Gardner Minshew was a 6th-round pick in 2019 by the Jags. Started 23 games for him. In total, had 5,530 passing yards, 37 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions in his career with them. Went 7-16 as a record, but I'm not going to put that on, say that's him at all, because he was on some, as we know, some pretty bad teams with the Jags for a while. But so far with the Colts, Minshew has looked pretty daggone good, and he will continue to hopefully look good in this game. So far, he's got 68.7% completion percentage with 553 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he has not turned the ball over yet. He did have a fumble, but the Colts fell on that ball, so technically does not have any turnovers. And hopefully that streak continues this week. It'll be interesting for me watching this one to see how the Jags and these other teams, while Minshew is the starter, how they plan against them, because they have been planning for Richardson, and we all know the story with that. Richardson out for at least 4 games. I even saw some speculation, some reporting today that Shane Steichen said that they have not ruled out surgery for Richardson. Unfortunately, he could be looking at surgery. They're going to see how rehab goes for him with his being on IR. So hopefully that's not the case. I hate to see the kid's rookie season be completely cut short. But nevertheless, Minshew is getting the start, and it's going to be a pretty exciting game for him to return. You know that's got to be in his mind himself, having this revenge game. So obviously the Colts played against the Jags in week 1, losing that game to a score of 21-31. I'm going to get into some statistics from week 1 here a little bit. Do my keys for victory this week, as well as I will, while I'm on that topic, I will bring up the injury report. As far as the Jags, I've seen the biggest one for me is Zay Jones has been ruled out. I don't have that report in front of me. I do have the Colts report. However, in front of me, Mo Alley-Cox, concussion. He is questionable. Same thing with how this has gone on. I'd be surprised if he plays. I did see tackle Braden Smith has been ruled out with a foot, wrist, hip injury. So he's pretty banged up right now. Wednesday, he didn't participate. Thursday, limited, and didn't participate today. So he's ruled out for the Colts. As of right now, he is the only player that is ruled out for the game. Got Shaquille Leonard groin. He has been practicing full all week. Quiddy Pay, also in a concussion protocol, but he has been full all week, so it'd be great to see him play. Bernard Ryman, concussion as well, but has been full all week also. DeForest Buckner with a back. He did not participate. His status is up in the air. I would suspect he plays. Same thing, kind of that story all year so far. Ryan Kelly is actually questionable with a foot and ankle. Did not participate today. We'll see how that shakes up. And finally, Grover Stewart with a foot did not participate. His status is up in the air as well. But all in all, I'd say with them guys that, in my opinion, all the guys that are up in the air will most likely play. It just seems like giving them some easy rest days. But we'll see how it shakes out coming into the game. So, like I mentioned earlier, some Week 1 stats against the Jags. Just a few things off the top here. Ridley went absolutely off against us Week 1. 11 targets for 101 yards and a touchdown. He's actually been kind of catching some fire here of late, getting some good stats going together. So also a big thing for me Week 1, and I'll get into this more a little bit, but the Colts running backs, they were without Jonathan Taylor obviously on the PUP list, which is different this week, and without Zach Moss. He had that broken arm, but the running backs for the Colts combined for 25 yards on 16 carries in Week 1. That will definitely be different, you would think, with Taylor ramping up and Zach Moss just having a freaking fantastic start to the year so far. And then finally, the Colts defense in Week 1 against the Jags, 2 sacks, 4 QB hits, and a forced fumble. That's got to continue as well. So a little bit of statistics from last week with both of these teams. So Ridley against the Bills, like I said, he's been heating up a little bit. 122 yards, caught 7 of 8 balls. Travis Etienne just had himself a day last week. 26 attempts for 136 yards, 5.2 yards per carry, and 2 touchdowns. That's going to be something the Colts have to monitor. Can't let him get loose off the edge. And Colts run defense, though, so far, and the Jags defense, I believe, are both tied for 5th for yards per carry allowed by running backs. I think it's like 3.6 yards per carry. So that's going to be huge in this game. Trevor Lawrence last week had 315 yards, a touchdown with a passer rating of 102.9. He had a good week against us, Week 1 as well. Zay Jones caught 305 for 23 yards and a touchdown. Christian Kirk, he's been over 70 yards the last 3 or 4 games, so he's really starting to be consistent and come on as well. Trevor Lawrence was sacked 5 times last week, so if the Colts defensive line really needs to get after it, I believe the Jags tackle might be out this week. I will verify that tomorrow with a video with the final practice report for sure. I have to get that in front of me. Obviously, Zach Moss last week, heck of a game by Zach. 23 attempts, 165 yards with 7.2 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns. Gardner Minshew last week, 11 of 14, 155 yards. A kind of good stat here, 11.1 yards per attempt. So it's not exactly just Dinkin Duncan last week with a passer rating of 112.8. And finally, the last guy I want to bring up for last week, Josh Downs, 6 catches on 6 targets for 97 yards. Had his best week last week. So for me, another very good divisional game coming up here. Like I mentioned before, 8-game losing streak that you have to beat. Get into my keys of victory here. Gardner Minshew. Actually, tell you what, I'm going to list my number 1, and this is just for me. Colts have to stop Josh Allen. It seems like every time the Colts play, the Jags, Josh Allen just kills us. He is just a Colts wrecker. I believe he had 3 sacks in week 1 against us. He can't be the reason we lose this game. I hate to see it continuously. So you've got to shut him down for sure. Second for me is Gardner Minshew, who remains to be pretty clean this year. I want to see it continue. Again, he's got the start for at least 4 to 6 weeks minimum. He's been the best backup we could have asked for. Has came in, has not missed a beat. Him and Shane have been on the same page, obviously, and it's a very, very big revenge game. I want to see him continue to be clean. I I mentioned in my last week's video that Doug Peterson said they have some great film on Minshew, and they are going to be ready for him. Uh, Another thing here, Colts wide receivers have to make plays. The Jags defense against wide receivers ranks 24th. I think that's something the Colts can really take advantage of. We need guys. I need Josh Downs to continue to step up. He's looked very good in his rookie season. Michael Pittman to continue to show his dominance as a number 1 receiver so far this year. Great start to the year. And I'm going to mention him just because I feel like you can take some shots deep on these Jags cornerbacks. It seems like the way the Jags play, they're going to be loading this box against these running backs. I think they're going to have a lot of man-on-man, one-on-one coverage. Let's see some Alec Pierce action. I want to see him get some more carry or get some more targets. And if he does, I want to see him come down with some of these balls. I love the kid, but it's been very, very concerning for me with his lack of production. I mean, all this hype around him. I know I've said it. I probably sound like a broken record week to week, but it's like all the stuff that we've seen on him in the offseason, looking great. And he's really been, I will say, to his credit, he's had some really good third down conversions when the Colts need it the most. But you just want to see some more consistency from him. You want to see more long balls, some touchdowns. Still without a touchdown this year, really hardly without a lot of catches. And of course, Colts running backs, Zach Moss and Taylor. Taylor's going to get his workload increased. And if Zach Moss can continue, I mentioned that as well. Zach Moss can continue what he has done so far this year. And so I fully expect the Jags to be ready for the Colts running the ball. And it's going to be interesting how that works out because I do know in a couple plays that Richardson was in when Moss was making those big plays. Richardson would freeze some defenders, so you're not going to have that as much with Minshew. Obviously, doesn't have the athleticism, but to me, another key to victory here is pressure on Trevor Lawrence. Like I said last week, he was sacked 5 times, and the Colts did a pretty decent job against them week 1. And Gus Bradley really has not brought a lot of blitzes. He's not known for it. He has a little bit this year. I'm not saying the Colts have to get 100% creative to get some sacks because their D-line has been good. Hopefully Kwity pays back, and Dio Adangbo's having a good year as well. And obviously Samson Abukum, that was a great contract for the Colts. So the guys off the edge, and hopefully obviously Buckner is in there to play against ETN. Jags just have so many weapons that the Colts have. Colts defensive, their young cornerbacks have got to do. They're going to have their hands full. But I've liked the way they've played so far. And Juju and Jones been pretty physical. That's got to continue. Again, they're going to have their hands full. But I'm curious to see these young guys continue to step up and get some more reps and things of that nature. And my final key to victory here, for me, is Shane Steichen has got to continue to have these great play calls and mix the things up. And by all accounts, great hire, obviously, by the Colts. And it's great to see what Shane has done so far this year. Again, it's a Colts are exceeding my expectations so far with their record and with the way they have played. Frank Reich still over there in Carolina struggling. I'm not trying to be negative towards Frank by any means, because I've seen some reports come out that said that pretty much it was the ownership's decision to take Bryce Young over CJ Stroud, and that's obviously has not worked out for him. So you kind of feel bad a little bit for Frank Reich, but at the same time, I'm glad the Colts don't have to deal with that, having to hear his mantra every week of "we're close, we're close." Um, so yeah, like I said, Shane Steichen just needs to continue to have his coaching. Another great division game this week. The Colts control their destiny here with a win. Like I said, they can take over the AFC South. And I myself, my prediction here for the game, I am going to continue and predict that the Colts are going to win. I know a lot of other content creators, some have picked them to lose. It's one of them things of until they can prove they can win in Jacksonville. But I really think with Shane Steichen and the way this Colts team has attacked this year, and you can tell the fight in this team is so much different than from the previous coach, from Frank Reich, man. I keep thinking that Rams game, although they lost, but that fight to come back from 23 points down, that's not something we saw a lot with Frank Reich. This team is motivated. They want to play. Zaire Franklin just continues to have a heck of a year. This Colts defense needs to continue what it's doing. Just keep continuing what you guys are doing, and you'll do it. But the Colts, I have the Colts winning this, continuing to break the streaks. Colts win with a score, tight one, 24-21. And that's going to do it for this one. Anybody watching, feel free to put your predictions down at the bottom in the comments. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. Show your support for the channel. We'd love to hear from you guys. That's going to do it for this one. And until next time.